was out on the track for the first time today, CD. I know it's not your area to sit there and track watch as such, but Lachie Jones in particular looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, the fantastic thing about Lachie is, as you say, he's in condition that would suggest that he'll be in contention to play pretty early. I think, in fairness, the majority of our group have come back in a spot where physically they all look like they're going to be able to compete. Clearly, Taj Schofield and Ollie Lord will need some development in that space, but I think the rest of the squad have come back in a really good order.
We don't want to hype him up, City, but he seems pretty special. Not only, we know what he did last year in Sample, but in his attitude, he's got this confidence. It's not arrogance, it's laid back. He's got a nice mix.
Yeah, I think, as you say, it is a nice mix of confidence and a real understated understanding of what his game actually is. So for us, that was really exciting to be able to bank on that throughout the draft and understand throughout last year that he was going to be coming to our club, and obviously to be able to pick up another key forward later in the draft is a really good thing for us.
Absolutely, all the holes plugged. You got everything you wanted.
Look, our absolute focus going in was Jones and where the bid was going to come for him. We feel like from a list standpoint that we had another spot for a developing key forward to come into the club, and we're able to get that done with Ollie Lord coming in. Obviously, Taj Schofield adds another dimension to our midfield, but I think right now our list is pretty well balanced.
Lachie, who's he fighting for that spot round one?
Oh, look, it's early to say who he's going to be particularly fighting for, but I mean the fantastic thing for us is that we've got probably 9 or 10 players who are legitimate AFL defenders now. So there's going to be some real fighting for spots amongst that group, and that's a good thing to have. Competition for spots is one of the things that we really wanted to add, and adding Aaliyah and also Jones through the trade and draft period. I think although we've had a pretty settled back group, they've now got some real competition.
The type of player that he is, though, looks like he's sort of up against your current best and fairest and your vice captain. It's not an easy spot to be.
No, look, it won't be. But Lockie's got other weapons that we think could ultimately can lead him into other spots as well. I think Jeff Parker often says to me that good players find a way to get into the team. We've also looked for some development amongst our group in terms of going into different spots on game days as well. So that'll be another thing that we look at. There's a couple of guys who have come back in as I say, really good condition that will stand us in good stead.
What about Tyson Goldsack, CD? You talk us through relisting a bloke that hasn't played AFL footy for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, Tyson's taken some real liberties already. He got drafted yesterday and decided that he's not coming back until January the 5th with the 5+ year players. So he's not here today. But look, we've taken enough players over the last 3 or 4 years who are young and developing that we felt like to add another player who can help to develop those guys, not only during the week but also on the weekend at SNFL level, was important. Tyson will help us win at SNFL level, but will also be a fantastic teacher for a group of players who, as I say, we have some high hopes for in terms of their development. So I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job.
Sounds like a cynical question, but have you picked a bloke not expecting him to really play much AFL?
I don't think he'll play at AFL level. I think we've picked him to do a job for us in regard to our development program, and that's equally as important because you look right now, every player who's drafted starts at a baseline level. It doesn't matter if you pick 1, 2 or 49. You're coming into a club right now who as I say, you start at a baseline level. Development is really important, and we have focused on the development of that group for a few years now.
How long was this in the pipeline for? Were you kind of, I suppose, swayed into a decision like this based on the new sample rules?
There was an element of the SNFL rules that we had to contemplate. Obviously, we thought that getting Cam Sutcliffe back to form that sort of partnership with Goldie was going to be important for our long-term list development. So I'm not hiding from the fact that Goldie's got a role to play. It'll be largely about development. He'll need to perform on the weekend in order for it to be a success for us at SANFL level. But as I say, and you guys have said, I think our list is balanced enough that I highly doubt that he's going to play at AFL level, but he'll play a really important role for us at SANFL level and from a coaching standpoint during the week.
Is there a financial element to it too? With he can still continue in his sort of development role, but soft caps have been tightened?
Yeah, that wasn't our primary consideration, but there's no hiding from the fact that it's one of the benefits of what we've done. Our salary cap is really well placed, despite what a number of people have said over time, to cope with not only the recent changes, but also, we were able to move Jack Watts off of our list last year. We haven't had to, re-rookie him, which is a good step to make sure that we've got spots open. We've still got a spot open, for potentially pre-season or the mid-season draft, and we'll take someone in that if we believe we need to, whether they're from the SANFL or from another competition. We'll do what's right for our footy club.
But purely as a football fan, CD, do you think the rework for the AFL list, looks like you guys are taking advantage of, which you'll be entitled to do, but all around the league it seems like there's blokes on rookie lists that might not play or shouldn't be rookie listed as such.
I think it's more about what you call the list. I've got no doubt that over the next 3 or 4 days, someone will dust off an article that they wrote last year or the year before that at this time of year, which talks about what the rookie list is primarily focused on. People should start to look at your list as a whole, because the rookie aspect of what a footy club's list is now is really only a payment ceiling. It's not about whether the person has the same responsibility from a training perspective or from an appearance perspective for the club. It's just another list for players to go on. So whether it's right that there are older players on there or not, I think is a moot point. We just need to evolve to a point where we understand that the rookie list probably should be called something else, because it's clearly the clubs are exploiting what it is. But I think overall we should just look at what the Port Adelaide Footy Club's list is and understand that different players on the list have got different roles, whether it be Rob, Gray, Trav, Goldie, Cam Sutcliffe at SANFL level. They're all charged with a responsibility to help our next group coming through, because as I say, it doesn't matter if you were picked at pick 2 or not. Everyone returns to a level right now where, unless you've got a development program, coaches who are going to help them succeed, and coaches are also willing to select them at various points in time in your AFL team, it actually makes no difference what number you're picked at.
Given it's Cam Sutcliffe, it was the situation he found himself in a couple of years ago with the mid-season draft. Some kind of possibility, if there was a hole that needed to be filled, that he could find himself back in the system in the mid-season draft?
Yeah, look, I think that probably dream is over for Cam, certainly for us. I mean, that not to suggest that another club might not see a need for Cam. I think right now, as I say, he's got it through his head that he's moving on and into a next phase of his life, which is important as well. But as I say, we've got a spot open, and if we see a need, or if there are players in Victoria who we see some development in over the next 6 months or so, we'll do what's right for our list, as I say, whether it's from the SANFL or whether it's from another competition.
Are you likely to have any players train on with you, or wait to see some of the Victorian guys more like a mid-season option?
Look, I think right now we'll probably wait until the new year to make that decision, so we won't commit to anyone coming and training yet. I think overall, as I say, we've got cover in most spots on our list, so we'll think about that over the Christmas period and come back and work from there. I think it's most likely right now that if we were to add another name, and that's not necessarily committing us to it because we might not need to, but I think it's more likely that we would do it mid-season than pre-season.
Where are you at?
Last couple of things.
Where are you at injury-wise at the moment in terms of guys coming back from surgeries or whatnot?
Well, we really only had Hamish, who had a significant operation during the off-season. He had a decent sort of knee clean out, but he's in the gym, and I imagine that by January he'll be out back training. We're obviously having to manage people through this period of time, and that's normal. Connor will be in that position with his foot. Drewy will be in that position with his foot. We've got other guys who have situations where we try and keep them off legs or we don't train them 2 days in a row. But realistically, unlike other years where we've had decent numbers of shoulders and those types of things which require decent rehab, we haven't had that this year, so our group is pretty well ready to go.
Out of interest, you obviously got Jones via the NGA system this time. What did you think of the changes to the NGA rules from 2021?
Oh, well, again, the AFL have got to continue to work on what they want to achieve from the NGAs. At the moment it's to get groups of people who are underrepresented onto AFL lists. Now, whether that's happening in the right way is more of a question for the AFL. We're really pleased to obviously have Lockie on our list and be the beneficiaries of that. There are other clubs who have been more significant beneficiaries than us. But for the rules to change now, obviously we'll have to work within them. But just pleased that in 2020 we were able to get Lockie Jones onto our list.
How do you feel about the place for next year's draft?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we went into this draft wanting to also capitalise on the potential to get some extra picks in next year. So I'm not sure how much has been spoken about the fact that we've obviously got a couple of extra fourth round picks in. We tend to try not to fall in love with an individual player and actually have almost cliffs of players that we're willing to select and move back in the draft if we can. That's been a strategy for us that we've used over the last 2 or 3 years. So to be in a position now where we've got a little bit of extra draft capital next year for a potential father-son in Jace Burgoyne, won't be a bad thing for us. Obviously, we've still got our first round pick next year, a few extra fourths. We'll obviously have to see where we end up at the end of 2021. But I think right now we've, our list management team have done a really good job to position ourselves really well.
CD, just on 20-minute quarters being back next season, is that something the footy club wanted or the players wanted for next season, or did you think maybe an 18-minute quarter was
Yeah, look,
on the card?
it was interesting. I think the AFL had spoken for a while about what length the quarters were going to be, and there was talk about how they were going to approach time on. I think for us, we have a group who are really capable runners, so we're happy either way. Obviously, shorter quarters keeps a bit more power in your running, and that's something that has been a strength of ours. But I think we'll be able to cope going back to 2019 levels. So we're comfortable, although it's interesting that these decisions get made without a great deal of club consultation, I guess.
And the floating fixture, obviously that's the way it has to be at the moment. Could impact fans, long-term plans looking at a season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the potential, but as you say, that's the world we live in at the moment. Hopefully we can get back to a point where there's a bit more surety, but even then, whether the AFL want that with the broadcast is going to be another thing. So look, it's no skin off our nose. We'll cope with whichever way the fixture rolls. We'll be ready to go once the season comes.